we So thank you very much, Auntie, for accepting our invitation. It's the first time to have you on the line. I know how busy you are, and you made it for us to accept our invitation. So first of all, can you just introduce a little bit to those who will listen to us, who you are, what are you doing, please?
Okay. Hello, I'm Alicia Quezqueda, and I'm mostly called as Attorney Shasha or Shasha, short. I'm in my almost 10 year as a lawyer, as a family lawyer, a litigator, a business and labor practitioner in the Philippines. And it's my pleasure, Theo, for having me here to be invited to this to your process, your organization.
Thank you very much, Ati. And today we are just going to discuss some of the practical question because I take this initiative that as foreigner living in a foreign country, we have to know at least what's being legal, what's required from us, what we can do, what can't we do. That's the reason why we are having this, and thank you for helping us for that. So, first of all, I would like to know, as a lawyer, we are living in the Philippines, which is not our country. So, would like to know from you, uh, if someone lives in the Philippines for long, as foreign, like me, like after 30 years, 20 years in the Philippines, is there a process for me to get like citizenship, naturalization? What's the Philippine law tell about those questions?
By blood or by birth, which I discussed earlier. Those who are born in the Philippines who have a Filipino parent, either both parents or one of the parents is a Filipino citizen. So uh, and then the second one is those born under the 1935 Constitution who has a Filipino mother and and who elected to become a Filipino citizen. Those are considered as natural born citizen or by birth. And then the second one is those were foreigners who wish to become a citizen through naturalization. So we have three kinds of naturalization in the Philippines. First is by judicial, of a petition for citizenship. The second one is by law, which it's given by to a foreigner by law or enacted by the Congress of the Philippines. And the third one is administrative. This is administrative citizenship is filed by a foreign citizen who live in the Philippines, who were born in the Philippines and at least 18 years old, who studied here in the Philippines, not in an international school, who studied here in the Philippines, can apply through administrative proceedings. This is filed before the Office of the Solicitor General. So I mentioned about the judicial uh, citizenship, which is filed to the courts. So who are those qualified to become a naturalized citizen through judicial application? So the foreigner should have the law of the particular foreigner should have reciprocity. The law of that particular foreigner. For instance, in the USA, we have in the US most of it's a national law in the US, so it's a federal law that they have a naturalization citizenship, so they can any uh, foreigner can apply for naturalization. So if since if an American in America, there's a law providing that a Filipino or any other citizen can apply for naturalization. So in the Philippines, since we have reciprocity, they have the particular law for naturalization. So we can, because of that law providing for Filipinos to acquire citizenship in the USA, so they can also apply here to become a natural citizen. So what are the requirements? So minimum requirements is the residency, at least 1 to 2 years of residency in the Philippines. Can know how to speak basic Tagalog, can sing the national anthem, the Bayang Magiliw, and the Panatang Makabayan, and also adapt to who knows little language of Filipino and some culture. So those are the ways to acquire. If the other country doesn't have any same rule or same law providing for a Filipino to become a national, then it will not be applicable. That particular foreigner cannot apply via the judicial application. Or it can be a foreigner can apply via if they are born in the Philippines and at least 18 years old, like what I mentioned earlier, at least 18 years old, born in the Philippines, studied in the Philippines, so they already know the culture, the language. They can apply through administrative proceedings, which can be filed through the Solicitor General. And the other one is you must know a politician because this is via
Administrative, the one you said?
the one I mentioned is the second one is you must know a politician. This is through the enactment of law by Congress. The other one is administrative. The foreigner must be born in the Philippines, studied in the Philippines, at least 18 years old, knows how to speak Tagalog, and knows very well the culture. When I say studied, they studied in the Filipino school, not in an international school. So
If they go to international school, they are not eligible for that.
Not eligible for
acquiring citizenship by administrative.
Yes, by administrative proceedings. But they can know if they're same law rule or same law providing for Filipino to acquire citizenship in that country, they can apply via judicial proceedings.
Okay, so basically,
basically there are three ways to acquire naturalization:
judicial, by law, and administrative.
Yes.
Okay, so by judicial, that means any foreigner, but there must be a law of reciprocity between the two countries. Am I right? Okay. Okay, but is there an example like missionary people who have been living here for long? They've been doing a lot for the country like that, in recognition, like for special, they have talent, like basketball player, where they sit, those kind of people who have rendered service to the country where they are.
Oh, there are instances where it is by law. If there is a very big contribution to the Philippines, then they can qualify for a citizenship by law.
So by judicial, that means is there any time required, at least 5 years or just 2 years, to apply if there is law of reciprocity between the two countries? How many years the foreigner should stay in the country to apply for that?
At least a minimum, it's at least 2 years. 2 years to 10 years. But mostly, I've seen in cases here, mostly those who applied is already 10 to 20 years. Mostly you apply. And those who are interested to acquire properties by corporation.
Another question I had just in mind is to know about, let's say, about like acquisition, because you just mentioned acquisition of land, something like that. So, what are the rule here? The land, everything, a foreigner can acquire land here or it's not? What's the process? We have just to know from you. How is it here?
Uh, the Constitution, the Philippine Constitution, only is restricted to Filipino citizens to acquire lands. So if the foreigner wants to acquire property in general, they can own, for example, uh, there's a building or there's a house and a land. So that's a separate properties, the house and the land. So and foreigner can own the house, but they cannot own the land in which the property in which the house is built. So they can only own the building or the house, but not the land, because the land is um, restricted on to only those Filipino citizens or Filipino by natural born citizens or former Filipinos who are naturalized in another country.
Basically,
And
a foreign.
foreigner cannot own a land, a
And
building.
though
They
if
can.
they are married, what if they get married to a Filipina, a local girl to a Filipina?
They cannot still acquire property by virtue of marriage, the because of the restriction under the constitution that properties can only be owned by a Filipino citizen, not by marriage. So they can this happens. For practical reasons, they can still for example, uh, the spouses separated. Since they acquired the property, they bought the property, they signed the deed of sale, and the deed of sale is recorded in the register of deeds. He can sell his ownership, but but he cannot but this name cannot be written in the land title.
But that means that they can only acquire like condo, apartment. That's possible. But I heard that apartment also they have like a duration. There is like a lifetime for them. Is it true that how is, or it's for long you acquire it? Because I heard that sometimes once the building is getting old, they can just like reconstruct it. Is it like that?
Mm.
Any?
In civil law, we have a 50-year duration, not that 50-year duration of the integrity of the building. So if the building is still there until 50 years, then it will continue to be constructed. It will not be demolished. There are other buildings in Makati who are still still they're still up and still is still there. So the 50-year period is provided only for the integrity of the structure, but it's not the ownership. It's only the structure of the building, but not the ownership. If it happens that the integrity of the building is not good and the structure of the building is destroyed, the the building association must construct again the building, the because there is a titled ownership for each units. If they cannot, if that's not possible, then they're going to pay for the damage that has that was incurred for the destruction of the building.
So means once it's if it happened that the building is to be demolished, that means the building owner will have to pay each owner of the condo. That's what you mean? Is it that?
They are the association, not the building owner, because the building owner is the unit owners. The unit owners are the building, one of the owner of the building. So it's the association, the homeowners association of the building. So if it was destroyed, they still get uh be paid for the loss that they have incurred, for the destruction. It may be destruction because of the integrity of the building or the structure.
Another question comes to mind is that so let's say if a foreigner here lives like even 50 years, so they are still being considered as tourists, or they get a type of visa that they can own for being here for long. So they are still tourists.
They're still considered tourists, as not unless they applied for immigration or any type of visa. If they're going to stay here after they retire, we have I forgot the we have a department here in the Philippines for those foreigner retiring in the Philippines. I forgot, it's in Makati. We have special privileges like permanent visa to be given to the foreigners, but they cannot become a citizen by virtue of longevity of or staying here for the long time. They must apply. They can apply for naturalization if they want. But if they want to retain their citizenship, they can apply after retirement. They can apply. I forget the department. It's a government department that a retired foreigner can apply. And they have a special visa for that. That they can stay a longer period of time, and they have special incentives for staying, but not acquiring properties in
I
uh,
see.
not subject to um, policies.
So is in which do we have permanent resident visa, and to whom or to which kind of people foreigner that's being given? That's what I want to know.
Okay. For foreigners, strictly foreigners, not for we have permanent visa for former Filipinos, or for foreigners who have whose parents is either a Filipino, or a foreigner who is a dependent of a Filipino. They are given a permanent visa. And the fourth one is the by marriage of a Filipino spouse. So in order to acquire permanent visa by marriage, there must be a validity. The marriage must be valid in the Philippines, and the foreign applicant uh, should file a permanent visa, at the same time he must not have any kind of disease, and he can able to support himself and his family. So it's not a strict requirement. So for foreigner who has a Filipino spouse,
Okay.
stay for 1 to 2 years.
But within 1 to 2 years, some are being given. I know about the TRV, temporary resident visa. So for how long you get it before applying for the permanent visa?
For 1 year after you temporary visa, you just apply and you just apply if you qualify for any routes for example uh for example for work, or at the same time if you haven't been given a permanent visa because of marriage, you must need to comply with those requirements. Sometimes the temporary visa is given to if there's no incomplete requirements and the foreigners is still here, and there's no reason for them to be booted outside of the Philippines. So there's no report of or a bad report to that particular foreigner. Then before the expiration, they can apply right away for a permanent visa.
So with the permanent visa, can they own like a land or still no?
So you can. It's just a visa is only it's not a right. It's just a privilege to stay in the Philippines. So it's only a stay. Well, anyway, we have three ways to be naturalized.
So let's talk about baby. Let's say I am
There are three
married.
ways.
Yeah, I am married. My wife is also a foreigner. Let's say if we have a baby here in the Philippines, is the baby considered foreigner, or since they are born here, they are kind of arrangement of type of visa they can own? That's my question.
Oh, we follow the Philippine law. We follow the international law about uh, just solis. Just solis means by citizenship by birth. So who we determine the citizenship of a particular child or a newborn by the citizenship of the baby's parents. So if both parents, just in your case, in your example, if since you are both foreigner, so you need to apply for a foreign visa for a for your child. If you have a permanent visa and your baby is your dependent, you can apply for a permanent visa for your child. But for citizenship, the citizenship will follow the parents' citizenship. So if you cannot file right away an application for visa for your child and citizenship right away, then the baby will be booted out of the
Yes,
Philippines.
they are
Because
tourists.
mhm, it's either you file a tourist visa for your child while pending application for as a dependent. Otherwise, the child needs to go out of the country.
So can you now file a tourist visa while the child doesn't have a passport? Is it possible? Because the child is born
You need,
here.
you need to apply for passport first, and then visa.
Yeah, that's
Otherwise, the child will be considered as illegal alien, the newborn.
so as they are, since they were born already, they are already considered as tourists.
If you apply, you need to the newborn. You need to still apply for a tourist visa if you're already a if you already have a permanent visa or a temporary visa. You can apply for you can apply your child as a dependent of yours. so that your visa will be extended to your child.
Okay, I know. I see. I see.
Otherwise, the newborn will be considered legal alien.
The baby is already tourist. He's already.
I think it's also applicable in other countries. I think because this is an we adopted the international law for passporting and for immigration. So we adapted it to comply with the international standards. So this is also applicable in the other countries.
About like like working visa, working those kind of things. Now I don't know. Maybe you are aware of that. That students who are foreign students graduating in the Philippines, they are being like asked to go out of the country and come back for the ungrading of their visa. So let's say like for this moment where there is like a pandemic that is refraining everyone from going out and come in the Philippines. So is that immigration still implementing? That means as you go out, Philippines is not accepting tourists. Means you will not come back anymore.
Yes, we're still following the same. Even if there's a pandemic, they still need to go out of the country. But we have the technique. We just if there's a uh, nearest country to go to, like Hong Kong, where Hong Kong is open. We have we advise our client to go there first, pending application of their visa.
But
So
as you
we
go,
just
if you go out, you are considered as tourist. So tourists are not yet allowed to enter the Philippines as of now. What I mean. So that means you will not come back.
yes. If the visa expired, there's no they cannot come back here. Not unless if they have a Filipino child in the Philippines or a dependent, even if the partner is not if they're not even if they're not married. So as long as there's a dependent here,
Uh,
they can go out, they can apply.
Atima, I have just a question. Someone will say that it's a question of a profile. I'm not, but I would like to know what are the reasons why someone who studied in your country, who spent money here in the Philippines, and once they finish, why should not be allowed to work right away? Because they invested in the country, but they are given like reason to go out. So is there any reason for that process of leaving the country first and come back?
It's because their visa is not anymore appropriate for their stay here because they already graduate. So they need to uh, go 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 out of the country and reapply for a new visa. So the reason is because of the expiration of their visa is no longer appropriate for their stay here. They already graduate.
But they could not like go to the immigration and get it downgraded and while still in the country without going out.
We still follow if there's no, because this is no longer appropriate, they will be considered as illegal alien. And once they're considered as illegal alien, will be in the blacklist. So it is far more likely if that particular foreigner will be in the blacklist. It's hard there's still a need to file a petition to remove the list, to remove that particular foreigner from the blacklisting.
So let's talk about the asylum seeker, those who are like seeking asylum in the Philippines, someone who is like having, and then um, get the asylum seeker here in the Philippines, what are the advantage of having that kind of status here in the country?
With the country, yeah, actually, I haven't encountered an asylum here. Although we welcome asylum in the Philippines, they can stay here in the Philippines, but they cannot acquire citizenship, unlike in other countries. So we are very strict because it's in the constitution. The ways to acquire citizenship, there's no asylum here in the under the Philippine Constitution. So although we welcome the asylums, but they cannot avail the citizenship here in the Philippines. They still need to qualify for the requirements I mentioned earlier.
Okay, so that means that even though they have that, they are still need to apply to get by all those three processes that you mentioned earlier, by judicial, by law, and administrative way. So another question that comes to mind is about business. So can a foreigner establish a business here in the country?
Yes, welcome foreigners here. We have several uh, very good laws applicable to all foreigners here in the Philippines. So to start, the foreigner needs to apply for business permit, which starts from it's either a sole proprietor, just like in the normal way to apply if you are a Filipino. So you can put up if you don't have a partner, if you don't have a corporation, if the financing is still not the budget, the finances of the business is not yet that as big. A foreigner can apply as a sole proprietor here in the Philippines. The second is to apply for as a sole proprietor, uh, foreigner, we should apply his business name to the Department of Trade and Industry, and then file the appropriate business permits to the local government where that party his or her business is going to be established. For example, if it's going to establish in Parañaque, so he's going to apply the required business permit in Parañaque and then register also in the BIR. And then for partnership and corporation, uh, there's need to qualify because uh, not uh, not all partnership not all business corporation and partnership can be put up in the Philippines. So there's a restriction. Although we welcome the foreigners here, there's a restriction for partnership if it is in for if the purpose is to establish a professional partnership like accountancy, real estate, architecture. There's a need to have a reciprocity again a that particular country where the partners belong should have allows Filipino to practice also in their country. If that country allows the Filipino to practice in their country, then the partners who wish to put up a professional services here in the Philippines can apply as a partnership to the Securities and Exchange Commission. For corporation, there's a need for 60% Filipino ownership and 40% ownership if the foreigner wishes to apply as a domestic corporation. So must be fully there must be a Filipino ownership. If the foreigner wishes to apply as a fully owned corporation, then Foreign Investment Act will apply. So what is a Foreign Investment Act? There's a capitalization requirement necessary. So there must be a capital requirement of minimum of $200,000 US dollars, and or 100,000 US dollars if the business of the corporation is in technology, and there will be direct hire at least 50 Filipinos, and the services, and they're dealing with the services. So that's if they're going to apply as a foreign corporation. And there's also another restriction under the Foreign Investment Act. If the the nature of the business is restricted, must be owned by Filipinos, then a foreigner cannot own, like media, like what happened to ABS-CBN. This is 100% must be owned by Filipino citizen. The LRT, because this is also a Filipino service, the requirement is 100% fully owned. The water system or the water services must be also 100%. Electricity must be also a 100% Filipino-owned corporation. There are also lists that a foreigner can also they can also own financing, but there also be a 40% only foreign owned ownership for financing, and for banking at the 60% Filipino owned and 40% Filipino. So if you wish to have a business here, make sure that the nature of the business is not water, electricity, transportation, media, because those are restricted to Filipinos. So other than that, a foreigner can put up a business.
That means that
So either
the business can be under foreign name, and like under my name I can establish, except those sector that you've just said, like water, media, that you said, except that, so I can like have a business in other sectors.
yes. So you can choose whether if you want to put up a foreign corporation or a domestic corporation. When we say domestic corporation, must be 60% Filipino owned and 40% foreign owned. For domestic, for full foreign corporation, so it will be 100% owned by foreigners. There is a capitalization requirement, minimum of 200,000 US dollars. If to be exempted, for a minimum of $100,000, the services must be in technology, and the corporation must directly hire Filipinos with at least 50 Filipinos.
So
To be exempted, 200,000 US dollars capitalization requirement.
and you should hire at least 50 Filipino.
For foreign, this is for foreign corporation.
Yeah, but for domestic, all Filipino.
For domestic, for domestic corporation, 60% must be owned by a Filipino investors or incorporators, and 40% foreigner.
So basically, if you before opening, you have to opt either you are a domestic or a foreign corporation. It should be clear from the start.
But if you have, there's another one, another registration. But if you have already a company outside of the Philippines and you want to have headquarters here, but you will not do a business here, only headquarters, you can apply for regional headquarters or as a foreigner, as a foreign corporation, but you're going to put up a regional office or headquarters or other training center here, but you cannot engage in business here. So this is only a part of the foreign.
Okay, let's talk about the blacklist. That's the thing
Okay.
that many foreigners, when they go here, once sent back home, they are put in the blacklist. So, would like to know why do we put people in the blacklist and what are the ways to remove them from that blacklist?
Okay. Wow. Some of the ways that a foreigner can be put in the blacklist is overstaying here, and their visa is no longer appropriate for the reason that they are already here. For example, as we discussed earlier, if the foreigner is using a student visa, then he engage in employment here in the Philippines or engage in business in the Philippines. So that's the other way of putting him into a blacklist, because his stay here is not appropriate for the thing that for the reason why he's no longer a student here. And then third is not following the law of the country. Fourth is not following the local law. And fifth is somebody reported him for crimes, other crimes. So re- reporting, or there's a pending action against him, criminal action. So those are the ways that a foreigner can be blacklisted. So to be removed from the blacklist, the reason why he needs to apply for petition, and then to prove that he's already a renewed person for those who have cases here in the Philippines, or that the case is no longer it's already dismissed, or he already went out of side of the country. If this reason is illegal staying or overstaying in the Philippines. So, but it's not a guarantee that you can that a foreigner can be unlisted to the blacklist. So there's a strict requirement. There's a strict requirement to follow, and a hearing also it will be done.
But let's say someone who came here at the airport and he was not allowed to enter in the country. Are they automatically put in the blacklist or not?
Ah, there must be a reason. There must be a again. Can you go back again your own question?
I,
Your
I,
question.
I was saying, let's say I'm just flying here to the Philippines from Africa, from many other countries. And at the airport, since it's free entry, but they didn't allow me to enter into the Philippines. They asked me to go back home. So in that case, is someone put automatically in the blacklist or not?
They did not. They already landed in the Philippines,
Yes, they landed
and
all.
they
And
in the airport.
at the immigration, they say we can't give you the entry. Go back to your country. So are they put
Okay,
in?
okay. They're not put into the blacklist if they already wow, went home or go back to the country of origin. They're not blacklisted.
So just
Mhm.
arriving and not deny the entry, you go back. No need to be put in the blacklist. But can same people come back again in the country or not?
Yes, provided they apply for the appropriate visa that they're going to do, whatever the reason that they're going to do in the Philippines. They can still go back here.
But let's say like for us, like Congo, we are given like free entry.
That particular foreigner is tag as a criminal, we will not allow that particular foreigner to enter the Philippines.
For most of the time, the cases we do have is the foreigner would be a public charge. That's most of the time what they say. The foreigner would be a public charge if allowed to enter in the country. It's the reason is like public charge. So is that automatically a reason for a blacklist?
Ah, it's not automatic. It's not automatic. They're denied of entry.
Means that if they are denying the entry like now, next month you can come back again. Is it like that?
What's the reason for the denial of entry?
Let's say public entry. Maybe they ask you question because some are not able to express well in English. So they see that you are not communicating well and misunderstanding public charge. You are sent back home. So let's say you go home, you improve your English. Can you come back and without being to go to the blacklist or how it should be?
Okay, so they can still come here. Oo. When this a generic yung the public charge annotation is a generic uh that's what the officials indicate if the documentation is if there's a the
Complete.
documentation and
Yeah.
interview mhm, and
Yeah.
the documentation is they cannot answer this interview. They can still apply if they uh if their documentation is already appropriate, then they can enter the country.
That being tagged at upon arrival as a public charge doesn't put you automatically in the blacklist. No.
Doesn't put you to a automatic blacklist.
Because before we
Not
were
unless
faced.
not unless that person is a charge uh, abroad or they're already tagged as a criminal in other country or just an Interpol list.
Yeah, but if it's just related to misunderstanding, English, interview, or incomplete documents, that's not a reason for for blacklist.
Yes, it's not the
So,
it's not the reason publicly for blacklist.
so to be put in the blacklist, you should be already living in the country, to what I can understand from what you say. Maybe you are public charge from other countries where you are coming from, or you are living already in the country, but you break the law, for example. Those are the reasons why you should be put in the blacklist.
Those are the reasons. Why?
No, because
You know,
we do have, yeah, we do have many. You know, in Congo we speak French. We don't speak English. So basically, when some Congolese are going in, they are not confident while speaking. So what's happening is they are being asked like incomplete document, misunderstanding. Automatically, they are being denied entry in the country.
they can
Yeah.
request for they can request for interpreter, didn't ask?
Usually before, but now at least there is like app where they can see clearly. Ati, I can see your eyes now. The camera, you are back. I can see you fully. Yes, now it's more. Yeah. So they are being, yeah, much better like that. They are being asked like misunderstanding like that. So sometimes if we can't understand each other, go back home.
Go back to the country of origin. They can ask. They can ask for an interpreter.
Are there
They can
people speaking French at the airport, for example, or phone? They
uh,
use phone.
they have interpreters there in the I don't know now, but
Yeah.
they have interpreters. They have Chinese interpreters. They have interpreters.
Mm.
We have interpreters.
Okay, I see. I see. It took almost 55 minutes. I think it's not the last one.
I'm
That's
having
all.
I'm
I'm
having fun. It's like
I'm super
we're being friends
super.
forever.
Yeah, super really happy. I'm really wondering when we can. But it's very interesting. It's very informative in a way that we know what we should do, what's the requirement, what should be done, what can't we do. But if you have any other thing that you, as foreigner, you have to tell us, you can just advise. Any topic you see that it might be interesting to us, you can just advise us on
Mhm.
it.
I'm my messenger. You can just message me if you need assistance, or if there's another topic that you wish to expound on. I can. I'm always available.
Okay, that's very interesting. Some other topic I will be having, we will chat, and I will be giving you first, and we will do what we did today. So, any word to conclude? Any message?
Oh, we are welcoming Filipinos are welcoming all foreigners. So don't be afraid. Work here and invest in the Philippines. We are warm and welcoming to and loving to all people, not only to Filipinos but also uh, to guests like.
Thank you very much, Ati Shasha. Really a great pleasure to have you on the call.
It's my pleasure to help to help you understand because we have there are lots of intricacies in the law, and
Exactly.
most especially we have you come from a different country, so uh, it's not it's good that you ask for assistance, clarify those questions.
Thank you very much, Ati. And for next round, we'll just have to talk on chat and see what we'll have it.
Okay, sure.
Thank you very
Okay,
much.
bye bye.
Bye, Ati.
Welcome.
Bye.
Happy weekend.
Thank you. Happy weekend.